My name is Ines Trencha, and I'm a reporter at the news agency Letta. And today we have a pleasure to speak with the President of the European Committee of the Region, Mr. Tzitzikostas. So, hello, Mr. President. We have many questions to cover today, and if you are ready, we can start. One of the Committee of the Region's policy priorities for 2025 is to bring Europe closer to its residents and to strengthen European democracy at all levels of government. Do you think that democracy will be strengthened in the course of administrative territorial reform when larger municipalities are formed?
Decisions concerning regional and local structures and governance fall within the competence of each member state, as you know. So our committee fully respects this national competence. In general, creating larger municipalities through amalgamation of smaller ones has improved local democracy in several countries. However, results were milder in other member states. So I'm aware that Latvia will reduce the number of municipalities with the next municipal elections. And I certainly hope the reform will be successful in all respects, including in strengthening democracy and participation. However, there is no single magic tool to improve democratic participation and to make sure that citizens feel represented by their national, regional, or local authorities. We believe that democracy has to be strengthened by improving institutional relations between all different levels of government, whatever the size and the structure, always respecting EU diversity and the internal administrative organization of every EU member state. The Conference on the Future of Europe will be crucial towards achieving this goal. Our House of European Democracy has solid foundations, which are the regional and local authorities, solid walls, the member states, and a protective roof, the European Union. We want to strengthen this house, and it is necessary to start from its foundations. We must better reflect at EU level the role that is played by the local elected politicians. We must shape, in other words, a new model of European democracy that could better respond to the real challenges, the real issues, and the concrete solutions that the citizens need.
The policy priorities also promise that the committee will identify solutions to ensure that the EU provides sufficient support to local authorities in responding to future emergencies. What could the support be, and how is it planned to be distributed?
Europe's reaction to the pandemic has been very positive, despite, of course, some delays and mistakes at the very beginning. To face the health, social, and economic crisis, the Union has been able to develop and launch the largest investment and support plan for member states in its entire history. The next European budget and the recovery plan will make available 1,800 billion euros that must be invested in all EU regions to be able to relaunch our economy, maintain jobs, support businesses, and strengthen the health systems that are giving the big fight today. So the task of our committee is now to make both cohesion policy and recovery plans are successfully implemented on the ground. And to achieve this goal, make no mistake, we must improve coordination between all levels of government, as I said earlier, EU, national, regional, local. I mean, we must use the pandemic as an opportunity to help regional and local authorities to face the societal challenges that we are facing. Increasing resilience, for example, to face health crisis preparedness is a priority, but it is also important to manage at the same time climate, demographic, digital challenges. We have to make sure that the EU resources are used to address people's needs and to increase local authorities' preparedness to respond appropriately to future emergencies. So this covers the procurement of medical equipment, as well as measures to save jobs, create new employment opportunities, and of course, support businesses. Our committee the Committee of the Regions is at work to represent the needs of the 1 million locally elected politicians all across Europe and to make sure that these resources will support recovery that leaves no region and no people behind. So all levels of governance, EU, national, regional, local, are called today upon to join forces if we want to turn this 1.8 trillion investment into reality. We need a fair, a digital, and a green recovery. And this will come through cities and regions. And this is what our citizens expect and what we all need to achieve to turn the challenges into opportunities.
What could be the European strategy for improving the situation of local and regional media, which is particularly relevant today given the amount of misinformation?
You know, regional and local media are the backbone of the freedom of expression, and they are crucial in the fight against misinformation. As regional government, I know very well, and as a governor directly elected by the people, I know very well how important in the role of regional and local media is to provide useful information and foster the debate on local matters. A safe and free media environment is crucial to defend democracy. This is clear. And this is why the European Union supports media freedom and pluralism with EU-funded projects that amount up to 75 million euros under the current budget. For the first time, there is also a dedicated envelope for media pluralism, journalism, and media literacy, which is also targeted at regional and local ones. So the aim is to promote collaborative journalism and to monitor violations of media freedom in order to support the press under threat. Our committee is a strong supporter of regional and local media, and we have built over the years many partnerships to make sure that they help us communicate in Europe directly to the citizens in regions, in cities and villages all across Europe. So regional and local media also have a crucial role to play fighting misinformation. And they are key partners of the task forces created at EU level to tackle this challenge, including the one on Russia's disinformation campaigns. More than 11,000 pro-Kremlin disinformation cases have been exposed in 6 years on the EU disinformation portal. 7% of these are fake news concerning COVID-19 just in the past year. So the problem is real and we need real action. Regional and local media are trusted and very close to the people, right where they live. And therefore, they help debunking misinformation and propaganda.
In relation to financing for recovery, how does Latvia look like in comparison with other EU countries? And do our wishes correspond to the set goals? And is it not the case that we are failing to absorb the allocated funds?
Well, Latvia is one of the nearly 20 EU countries which have already submitted to the Commission their National Recovery and Resilience Plan. Latvia had the possibility to ask up to 2 billion in grants under the Recovery and Resilience Facility. The government decided to request a little bit less, 1.8 billion, and no loans, but the EU Commission and the Council approval will take up to 3 months, allowing the disbursement of a 13% pre-financing. So all other tranches will be paid based on the satisfactory fulfillment of milestones and targets. However, our communication should be clear on this and pay attention not to confuse different funds. The recovery plan is a temporary measure created to mitigate the impact of the pandemic, whereas cohesion policy represents a third of the EU budget. These structural funds are jointly managed by the EU Commission and the EU countries and regions. Under cohesion policy, for example, Latvia will receive 4.6 billion euros in the upcoming programming period, 2021-2027. So we must absolutely avoid any kind of competition or overlap between structural funds and the RRF that could undermine the impact of both. This is why it is key that regional and local authorities are fully involved in the implementation of the EU recovery plans.
In what directions would it be better to use these funds to allow the country to gain economic momentum more quickly after the COVID-19 crisis?
Well, every national recovery plan must allocate a minimum of 37% of expenditure for climate investments and a minimum of 20% for the digital transition, as you know. This is exactly the direction we should follow. Now, it's up to the EU Commission to assess the Latvian plan, of course. However, let me be very frank with you. Without regions and cities, the shaping and implementation of national recovery plans have really limited chances to succeed. The lack of involvement has also a strong impact on the coordination between cohesion policy and the Resilience and Recovery Fund, undermining both their success. So unfortunately, there is no legal obligation for member states to set up a structured consultation process with the regions, but we have asked for this implication of the regions and the cities in the very early launch of the recovery plan. Our committee is at work nowadays to create a true partnership among the EU, the national and the regional and local actors, because we simply realize that this is the only way that we, the European Union, will be able to deliver the recovery our citizens need so much.
Regarding a common strategy in facilitating vaccination within the EU and the fight against misinformation, could there be any pressure to activate vaccination in especially difficult regions as in Latvia with Latgale, where the fight against Russian propaganda and the glorification of Sputnik 5 is difficult to overcome?
Well, to boost, first of all, the vaccination process, people need to be informed, facilitated and motivated. We must accompany citizens so that they perceive their participation to the vaccination campaign as an added value for them as individuals and, of course, for their community as a whole. Forms of pressure to impose vaccination could be a boomerang that will backfire. This is also one of the rationales behind the choice of the EU member states not to make COVID vaccination compulsory. Our committee, the European Committee of the Regions, is fully involved in the EU information campaign on vaccines, and we contribute to fair and transparent information through our COVID-19 exchange platform. But we are also supporting it as an institution and through our members who are regional and local leaders in order to reach as many communities as possible all across Europe. This strategy is providing effective and is proving that it's being effective all this time in the majority of the EU regions. The trend of willingness to get vaccinated is steadily increasing. And if the trend continues, as we can expect, it would be enough to get to the 70% target in most areas. So the EU Green Pass that has been agreed will give a boost to vaccination as well in many regions, as it allows now to travel freely across Europe during the summer period.
How is the low activity of local governments and centralized decision-making regarding the restrictions of COVID-19 in Latvia being assessed in general?
Well, decision-making regarding COVID-19 restrictions highly depend on the institutional structure of every EU member state. Make no mistake, in countries where health is a regional competency, crucial decisions were indeed taken at the regional level. Where this was the case, the possibility for regions to decide upon COVID-19 restrictions helped better adapting to the situation on the ground. So regional and local leaders are the best placed to take such decisions, according to our opinion. And according to the incidence, infection rate, and the hospital's capacity in their own territory, the Committee of Regions has been calling to enable regions to monitor the receipt and distribution of vaccines, thus improving transparency and coordination as a tool to help identifying the gaps. Countries monitoring data and publishing statistics closer to the local level in general are able to respond quicker and more effectively to gaps among different areas. So this is why our committee has asked the European Commission to develop a regional vaccine scoreboard that would work in parallel with the national scoreboards and allow a more in-depth analysis of the situation that we have on the ground.
And one additional question, from your point of view, how to motivate people to get vaccinated? Because we know that there will be this digital green certificate, but there is so much misinformation about the vaccine.
Only leading by example is the way that we can convince our fellow citizens to get vaccinated. Now that our turn has come, I will be vaccinating this week. My age group has finally arrived and I'm really happy and relieved about it. I will be able to communicate to my fellow citizens the need for vaccination. And make no mistake, regional governors, president of regions, mayors are the most trusted political figures in every country. And so by having them in the front line, not only for dealing with the pandemic and its effects in the economy, but also for providing with the necessary advantages of the vaccination process to our economies and to our health most highly, is the only way to get out of this nightmare. And so I believe that as time goes by and as more vaccines will be available for the European citizens, there is going to be an increase in the interest for vaccination. And so I really am optimistic that by the end of this summer and at the beginning of the fall, we will definitely start reaching the point where even the measures, the strict measures that were put upon our economies and our society earlier this year will not be a need anymore. But we all need to trust each other, trust the scientists, the scientific community, watch and follow the data of the vaccination program so far, and just make this move that is the only move that will take us out of this difficult situation.
Mr. President, on behalf of our company, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to conduct this interview with you. So thank you. We did cover all the questions. Have a nice day and maybe see you at a time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time and the opportunity that you gave me to discuss with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.